PJ Library was established by Jewish philanthropist Harold Grinspoon in Springfield, Massachusetts in 1993. It has since grown to include over 200 communities in North America, Canada, and has expanded to the United Kingdom, Russia, Australia, some Latin American countries, Mexico, and of course Israel. The concept of PJ Library is incredibly simple. We send free, age-appropriate Jewish content books to registered children living in Calgary from the age of 6 months until 8 years old. We would like every Jewish child in Calgary to have their own Jewish library. The books are carefully selected to match the age of each child and time-honored Jewish values, which would include Lashon Hara, Tikkun Olam, Tzedakah, as well as Shabbat and Jewish holiday cycles. I love the idea that a Jewish child in Calgary could be reading this book tonight, and at the same time a child in Memphis, Tennessee, and the United Kingdom, as well as Melbourne, Australia, will be reading the same book at the same time. PJ Library sends out over 200,000 books a month to children worldwide. But PJ Library in Calgary is more than just books. It is an outreach and engagement program which encourages young Jewish families to come to the JCC or other Jewish facilities to meet one another and make friends and perhaps learn something different. Thanks to the funding that we get from Calgary B'nai B'rith through the Menorah Foundation, we can offer programming which includes not only our book-based programming, but has expanded to PJ Tot Shabbat, which happens on alternate Friday mornings at the Calgary JCC, and PJ Hag Sameach, which is a series of holiday-centered learning opportunities. For many of our families, PJ Library is the only point of contact with the formal Jewish community. Many of our families come from interfaith and intermarried couples, and it is the non-Jewish parent who comes to PJ Library to learn and bring Jewish traditions into the home. We like to think that we offer a relaxed, informal, welcoming environment where Jewish families from all walks of life can participate and engage and make friends and connections which we hope will last a lifetime. While PJ Library receives funding from Calgary Jewish Federation's UJA and matching grants from the Grinspoon Foundation, it is critical that the funding we receive from local donors and Calgary B'nai B'rith through the Menorah Foundation helps us continue to offer programming and learning opportunities as well as the books for the over 520 children in Calgary who each month receive a little bit of Judaism in. The Grinspoon Foundation wanted to see what would happen if we asked families to run their own PJ Library programs. Mm-hmm. What would happen if we asked young Jewish families to do Jewish? So they offered 10 communities a pilot program called it the Get Together Grant, and Calgary was the only community in Calgary to get the grant. So it was incredibly simple. We asked parents to apply and tell us what they wanted to do. And the only thing that they had to do was it had to be Jewish, and it had to include at least 2 other Jewish families. And we had 23 families that participated, and they came up with an incredible amount of different programming. There were Shabbat dinners, and there was challah baking, and because it was in December, people did like Hanukkah cookies or had a Hanukkah party. But we did have families who took it to the next level. One family decided to have a Havdalah program, which they'd never done before. They invited 3 other families and they did Havdalah with their children. And they loved it so much that every month they're now going to each other's houses and doing Havdalah, which is quite remarkable.
And some of these families would otherwise not have any exposure to Jewish life.
They would probably not have, or this gave them the nudge that they needed to start something Jewish in their home, and now they're continuing it.
And this enhances that.
It enhances their Jewish. Being Jewish, we want people to know that being Jewish can be fun and can be informal and can be sustained in whatever way they choose. Another thing that we have found from PJ Library families is that because we have the flexibility now that we have the funding to provide programming, is that many of our non-Jewish moms have asked us to provide them with learning opportunities in a more informal way. They may have done conversion classes or not, but they want to be Jewish. They're just a little insecure on how to do it. So that is what started our Tot Shabbat program, where we could teach the brachot and teach the kids the Shabbat songs in a way that was age appropriate, but also at a level where everybody felt comfortable. And what we found is that not only are the Jewish moms coming, but they're bringing their mothers and their mothers-in-law. So it's an intergenerational program which is quite joyful to watch if you ever get the chance to come to the JCC. I often joke that our ratio is often 3 or 4 to 1, where we'll have one child, 2 grandparents, a mother, and a friend who's interested in seeing what Shabbat is all about. And from that, we took it to the next logical step, which was PJ Chag Sameach, where we teach holidays in the same format, where the children will do a craft, we'll talk about Rosh Hashanah or Hanukkah or Purim, and teach the parents through the children, and then they can take that home and do something at home or not. And we have found that particularly our Pesach program has grown to be so big we have to run it twice because the room cannot accommodate the numbers who come. And it just shows us that while we feel that affiliation is dwindling, desire to be connected to Judaism is definitely there. It's just that the millennials or this generation wants to be Jewish in their own way, on their own terms, and generally in their own homes. So they come to us, we give them the materials, and hope that they take from us and start something that will continue and create their own traditions and their own memories.
And it appears that you're providing them the resource to do just that.
We're providing the resources, and the books, I think, are the impetus, because while some parents may say to me, I can afford to spend $15 on a book at Chapters, I say to them, you may not wake up this morning and go and think, it's Tu B'Shvat, I'm going to go buy a book about Tu B'Shvat. But if the book comes, and PJ Library books always have a flap where they tell you why you're receiving the book and what you can do after you've read the book. So if you do get the book, it may encourage you to talk about Tu B'Shvat, plant a tree, or have a Tu B'Shvat Seder. But you wouldn't wake up in the morning and decide to do that. And many of the books are not available anywhere other than if you get them. So we like to think of it as it's the spark to be Jewish, however you choose to do it.
Beautiful. That's that's outreach in the purest form.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
We do that, which is lovely.
Very nicely done.
When parents register their children, if they're not known, we just say we would like one parent to affiliate as being Jewish, but we don't ask in what format or what it. Most people choose to tell us. Sometimes they're quite apologetic, but generally they want to do something. I think everybody is looking to belong to something. They just don't want it to be formal or institutionalized. And also, I want them to know that being Jewish isn't hard. It's easy, and if it comes from within with pleasure, it can only spark more. So if a child says, can we do Shabbat, or what are we doing for Hanukkah, that's the kind of pressure that I want the parents to feel. I don't want them to dread the holidays. I want them and their children to look forward to cleaning the house or planning a Seder, or just coming to us for Pesach is good enough. And we're finding them. As I said, we found a group of Jews in Airdrie, and they come into our programs, which I find quite astounding.
Wonderful. That's wonderful.
And that's what's really quite special. And another thing that has been a spin-off from this is because we get requests, people find out free Jewish books, and our funding is Calgary and area, because thanks to B'nai B'rith, we can now say we've now increased our area. When we first started, we had limited funding. We could only offer it to 200 children. So if you didn't live in the postal codes that we designated, you couldn't participate. But now that we have the freedom of additional funding, we can include the Jewish children in Airdrie, the Jewish children in Lethbridge, the couple of Jewish children in Red Deer. And they get the books, they get the newsletters, and some of them do try to come in for the major programming. But because of word of mouth, we found that there were a lot of Jews in Saskatchewan who wanted to be part of the program, and we didn't have the funding. So the Grinspoon Foundation is funding PJ Library in Saskatoon, but we're doing the administrating, where we just managing it for them because they have no one to do it, which is I like to think of my way of giving back and paying forwards.